What if I told you there's 85,000 untested chemicals in products we use every day? Hi, my name's Justin, also known as Daddy Buzzkill, and I'm here to tell you the toxic truth about what's in products we use every day. This video, where I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what toxicity is and why we should all be more aware of what's going in these products and how they're affecting nearly everybody's health. So what does it mean that something is toxic? It just means that anything that can cause harm to a living organism. You probably realize there's a lot of different toxic things in our world today, but maybe you haven't thought of how they're categorized. There are broad categories of toxicity, like physical toxins, chemical, radioactive, and biological. A biological toxin is something like snake venom or poisonous mushrooms or poison oak, poison ivy, anything that comes from a living organism and transfers its toxicity into another living organism, that's a biological toxin. Then there's some physical toxins. That's something like coal dust or silica dust or asbestos. Acids, the next category, radioactivity, nuclear bombs, excessive x-rays or CAT scans, cosmic radiation, solar flares, x-rays, gamma rays from space, radiation that we get when we're in an aircraft flying in the daytime where we're getting a lot of solar radiation. These are ionizing types of radiation. There's also non-ionizing radiation like from Wi-Fi or cell phones. These things have toxicity to living things also, although a lot of people think it's minor and some people are more sensitive to it. And the last one, the one that I'm most interested in and that we'll be talking about, is chemical toxins. These are the thousands of different lab-created compounds that have made their way into modern life, into all of our products, into pretty much everything we touch and breathe and put on our skin and put in our bodies. So we're going to talk more about chemical toxins. So these are compounds, like I said, that have been made up by chemists and put in these products for some kind of purpose that was felt to be either for the longevity of the product or to enhance its usefulness or to make it cheaper. These chemicals are delivered to us in many different ways. They get outgassed from stuff that become air pollution and water pollution and industrial waste, but they also are in processed food ingredients, in skincare products, in household cleaning products, plastics, pretty much anything we come in contact with has some of these chemicals, and a lot of them are toxic. So there's four main types of chemical toxins. The first kind is carcinogens, cancer-causing stuff that you've all heard of. Stuff comes out in the news periodically about some chemical or some product that has been linked to cancer. In the 50s, everybody smoked cigarettes. Doctors recommended cigarettes. And then later they found out they cause throat cancer, lung cancer, whatnot, and doctors aren't recommending those anymore. But today, the cancer-causing stuff is a little more insidious. It's in furniture in the form of formaldehyde that's gluing all that particle board together. It's in the flame retardant that's in your sofa to keep it from catching on fire if you fall asleep with a cigarette in your hand. It's in parabens that are in cosmetics. It's PFAS chemicals that are waterproofing or stain repelling. There's also neurotoxins. Those kind of chemicals have some kind of bad effect on your nervous system, like they give you a facial tic or cause you memory loss or brain fog or sensory problems. Anything that affects your nervous system, that's a neurotoxin. Two of the famous neurotoxins from history are lead paint, with kids eating the chips and having developmental delays and problems, and mercury. Remember the saying, mad as a hatter? It came from England. These people were making felt using a process that involved mercury, and it was causing these hat makers to go a little crazy. Formaldehyde comes up again as a neurotoxin. Pesticides, again, come up as neurotoxins. DEA, which is used as an emulsifier in shampoos, household cleaners, soaps, stuff like that. And styrene. Styrene is used in making rubber and plastic. Our third type of chemical toxin are reproductive toxins, which are also known as endocrine disruptors. They mess with our hormone system, causing birth defects, developmental problems, fertility issues. Again, flame retardants come up on this list. And not to put a damper on your summer fun, but chlorine is an endocrine disruptor. PFAS chemicals come up again. And a broad class of chemicals called VOCs, or volatile organic compounds. Now, don't think this has anything to do with organic food. It's just a term that chemists use. And what a volatile organic compound is something that loses molecules into the environment easily. So What do you want to lose molecules into the environment? Fragrances, you want to smell them. You want those molecules to come into your nose. So fragrances are not benign. They are endocrine disruptors, and there's thousands of them. Anytime you see the word fragrance on a product, you've got this unknown set of chemicals in there because companies aren't required to disclose the ingredients in their fragrance. They're considered proprietary, trade secrets. Air freshener, that's definitely going to be VOCs, anything with the word fragrance in it, and obviously perfume and cologne. So all of these things are, unfortunately, even though some of us think they smell good, they're destructive to our health. So there's also organ-specific toxins, things that target one particular system of the body. Something might target the lungs or the kidneys or the liver in the case of alcohol. Mostly these kinds of toxins have effects that are easy to detect in chemical testing, so a lot of them don't make it into products. So it's not that everything doesn't get tested. It's that testing maybe isn't as complete as we would like it to be. When it's tested, they use things like animal testing or testing on fish embryos because they have certain characteristics in common with the way human systems react, or cell cultures. The agency is primarily responsible for overseeing the effects of chemicals in modern life, or the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, the EPA, which is Environmental Protection Agency, and the Consumer Product Safety Commission. So although these things are there and they do have certain protections, there's also not really a mandate to do the kind of level of detail. There are certain laws that the Consumer Product Safety Commission, the EPA, and the FDA have to follow. Unfortunately, there's a lot of huge loopholes in them, and they only cover certain levels of severity. For example, I'm going to look here at the Hazardous Substances Act. What is considered a hazardous substance under that law? It has to have a potential to cause substantial personal injury or substantial illness during or as a proximate result of any customary or reasonably foreseeable handling or use. Now that's a pretty severe kind of reaction. A lot of these toxic effects that these chemicals have on our bodies are not severe. They do not come up in testing that's made to detect severe reactions. And of course, it's great not to have severely hazardous products on the market. Some of the problems with current toxicity testing are the length of time. If you're testing something for severe toxic reactions that happen in 7 days or 14 days or even 30 days, that misses a lot of stuff that might happen. Also, the animals that we use might or might not cover certain reactions that people would have to that same chemical. There's also the combination problem. How does this thing react with other products or chemicals that are likely to be in the consumer's life at the time they use this product? To reiterate, the 4 real problems with the things that current testing, when it's done, doesn't catch are subclinical effects, which are subtle effects that the chemicals having on our biological systems that we can't tell with maybe even blood tests, but certainly can't tell just by observing an organism. Another problem is that the tests are very short term. We don't know how these things affect people over the long term. Also, there's a concept called bioaccumulation. How does a chemical, when it enters the body, leave the body? Some chemicals process out of our bodies faster than others. So if it's a particularly slow processing chemical, we have something called bioaccumulation, where that chemical is accumulating more and more in our body over time, causing harm. You might just think it's a small amount of chemicals in all these products, and how can they really be causing problems? But there was a study by the Silent Spring Institute and University of California where they determined that about 5,000 tons of toxic substances are emitted or released from products every single year. And we're all taking in these chemicals by eating them and drinking them and breathing them and putting them on our skin. Many toxic chemicals have already been confirmed found in human breast milk and in human umbilical cords. So it's everywhere. So we do have independent testing of products and chemicals that are not being done by the manufacturers and not being done by the government that are revealing some of these chemicals to be harmful to us in various ways. So if we're beginning to understand through independent testing that many of these chemicals can cause cancer, can cause reproductive problems, can cause neurological problems, and we know that over time we're seeing a steady increase in chronic disease, cancer, and reproductive problems, could these things be linked? It's a precautionary step to reduce, because we can't completely eliminate, these toxins in our life. It's time to choose healthier products. And what I'm about as Daddy Buzzkill is to help you find those products and tell you how to buy them so that you can start to reduce those toxins in your life. Subscribe to my channel, like the video so you see more like this, and go over to daddybuzzkill.com and subscribe to my newsletter. I'm going to be putting updates in there, what products to buy, product reviews, and let you know when I'm releasing new videos. I wish you a healthy and long life.